What's going on, everybody? It's Bayern Ryan here, and I'm sorry I had to send a text message to Devin because he's fucking lazy and he's not here yet. But we do have Goze. No idea where George went. George probably went to pee or something.
Probably.
But at least we got Goze here. So what's going on?
How you been, man?
Man, old as shit.
Yeah. How old are you?
40. I'll be 41 in December.
Oh, that's not old yet, man. Wait till I'm about to be 45 this week. So I'm getting there. You start to feel it though in your 40s, that's for sure.
No, I started to feel it after a car wreck.
True.
Well, and cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll go back to like 35 and then just stay there. That would be the better way of doing it. So, but yeah, I caught the end of y'all's, what's it called, the backhand click or something like that, or
No, the spinning back click.
Yeah, that. Who came up with that name?
I did.
Oh Lord Jesus, that is a long name.
But we're a click.
Lord Jesus.
Isn't your name longer than ours?
Mine actually matters, though. It's Halftime with Bayern Ryan. That's the name of the show and the guy that's hosting the show. Duh. Now we got George. All right, let's see. We got to fix this overlay. There we go. Look at that shit. See, look at that. I have 3 on point. Still don't know where Devin's ass is, but Devin's lazy. He was more excited for Stitch. He went damn boxing crazy, man.
Did he?
Yeah. It was bad. But even though I've got you two, and at least we could talk the old way of MMA, because I literally had no idea what y'all were talking about when you were talking about Shevchenko or something like that.
Shevchenko?
Yeah, I had no idea what the hell y'all were talking about. I haven't watched an MMA fight since 2017.
Not one?
Not a single. Well, okay, I'll take that back. I watched John Jones beat the brakes off of, how do you say his name? Gagne?
Cyril Gane?
Yeah. Watched him beat that poor dude who had no chance in hell.
Mm-hmm.
I think I may have watched a Gaethje fight or two, just because I used to, like, if it's guys that I used to work with in like the sports marketing thing, I'll watch them. But besides them, it's not anything I want to like really care to watch. Does that make sense?
Completely makes sense. That's how I am with Bayern Munich. You know, if there's not a good team playing, I'll watch them, you know, but
Devin says he's in an interview for a job. Motherfucker ain't got no. He's like Tommy O. Martin. That motherfucker ain't got no job. Now he is the guy. Goze, you heard the song leading into the show. That's Devin singing that song. So Devin, really? Yeah, he's a musician and does that type of stuff. So,
he's pretty cool.
But he's an Arsenal fan too. So it's kind of a make-a-wish to put him on the internet. Yeah, that sounds bad. They haven't
won it in like 20 years, right?
Have they ever won?
Oh yeah, they had some good teams.
Yeah, they won. They won that cute little Invincibles thing where they act like they never lost a game. They drew a game, so they didn't technically win them. So, yeah. But I mean, at least United's relevant though. United's a worldwide brand. Arsenal, nobody cares outside of London. Now I do have to ask y'all. Wednesday, when Bayern plays Man United, what's going to be the excuse? Which of the? Hold on, let me count how many players y'all have injured. Which one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players? Okay, the 9 players that are actually injured. The one that's on a leave of absence. And then Jadon Sancho, the one that I guess everybody at United hates. So which one out of those 11 is going to be the reason y'all lose like 10-1?
Where's the game?
Why are you counting out our JV team?
Because your varsity team's right here. I mean, it's at the Allianz, so I mean, we all know you're not going to beat us in the Allianz. That's just not going to happen.
1-1.
1-1 what?
You think the score could wind up 1-1?
Hell no. We got Harry Kane now.
What do you think the score will be?
For me, it's probably going to end up 4-0, 3-1.
4-0.
Yeah, we can score. We just kind of can't stop anybody from scoring at this point. Okay, maybe it ends up being like 5-2. We're beating you by 3 at least. So however you want to justify that. But yeah. So what have y'all been up to besides watching United lose?
I just realized we're live, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sitting there thinking we're just gonna bullshit, and then there's gonna be some sort of an intro or something. Okay, I got you.
No, this is how my show works. It's not fancy like y'all's. Mine's just basically like 3 guys sitting at the bar talking shit. That's pretty much the premise until we get to the halftime portion of the interview, which is normally at the end.
I won't lie. I think that away, you're obviously, if you want to be realistic, you want to try and get a draw. Right now, our concern is in the Premier League, we're just terrible. We're like a mid-level team, and that needs to change. You don't want to hear excuses, neither does your audience, and I don't want to give them. So, bottom line is we have a deep squad, and I think we have enough of a squad to hopefully maybe hold you guys to 1-1 or something like that. But could it be 4-0? I suppose it could. I can't play stupid over here after Liverpool beat us 7-0 last year, and I think City got us 6-3. You know, like it really can get that ugly.
And I mean, for me, it's because it's the first Champions League group stage match. I want to say it's going to be a big score, but it easily could be, you know what I'm saying, 1-1, 2-1, something along those lines, just because it's the first group stage game. Now, when you start getting into, like, say, the second leg of that, when we go to Old Trafford, then it could be, you know what I'm saying, a completely different thing because, well, not really, because we would have to play Copenhagen and Galatasaray, and y'all would have to play Copenhagen and Galatasaray. So, I mean, it's at that point, I've got a feeling personally that Bayern would be already way up there. I still think with the struggles that United has right now, they're going to be neck and neck with Galatasaray for second place. Because Galatasaray is an ungodly Turkish squad. And the only issue I don't like playing in Turkey, those fans are ungodly. Like they are some crazy sons of bitches. Like, and that's the only difference with, like, say, a Man United, I mean, Man City really doesn't care either way. But anything that's not Man City, Liverpool's, United, Spurs, Arsenal, any of those, when you go play in those types of environments, that's about as home field advantage as you're going to get. I mean,
what's your prediction for the next game when you guys come to Old Trafford? Let me hear you. What do you think?
At this point, barring any injuries for us and y'all getting some back, it'll be a better game. Even if you get Anthony or Sancho back, neither one of those really scare anybody. It's the Wan-Bissakas, the Rafael Varanes. Those are the ones that will make that difference at Old Trafford that you're going to be missing this time. But I mean, the only thing I'm going to enjoy is the reunion of Casemiro and Bayern Munich. Let's see if he can finally get his first red card against us in the 10 years his ass should have had one every game. Let's see if they finally give him one. I seriously doubt that, but it is what it is. But I do need to tell the audience when we interviewed Stitch last week, and I said I'd never seen any of the Creed movies. I need to let everybody know I have watched all the Creed movies, and they're actually not that bad. I'd lost all faith in the Rocky series after Rocky 5. Rocky 5 was fucking terrible.
Okay.
God, it was
I'm
bad.
with you. I'm with you. For the longest time, I thought it was terrible. And I went back and rewatched it. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It's still the worst one, but it wasn't as bad.
I mean, it's more, and I hate this, and you probably are going to say it. It's more accurate of like what boxing sort of is and how the sport was at that point. It's just, for me, it seemed like it was rushed.
Yeah, it could be.
Like they tried to cram a lot of stuff into one, and I didn't. Plus, I really didn't like the fake Don King guy. Somebody really needed to drop him onto one of those cars.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna hit him, you're probably gonna get sued, but you might as well go for his head, right? Might as well knock him out if you're gonna hit him. That little months Simpson to the belly. That's not satisfying.
Yeah, hit him in the face. I mean, Rocky, you're already broke, bro. What are you gonna lose? But I mean, like at the beginning of that movie, I guess the transformation between the fighting the Russian and then fighting in that one, where it's like, oh, my money man screwed me over and stole my money and did this and did that. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's.
I didn't get that part.
Extremely common right now.
Here's the thing. All right, let's just say he lost all of his money. He's Rocky fucking Balboa. You telling me he can't do a couple appearances here and there and at least get something somewhat decent? Does he really need to go all the way back to the ghetto? Like, I'm sure there's some things he could have sold, or old gloves, old trunks, anything.
Let me ask you this.
Nothing I can do.
Let me ask you this. Rocky is from the late 70s, early 80s. So I'm going to pick a real life boxer, heavyweight boxer from that time. Larry Holmes. Let's say he's broke. And he goes, man, I need some money. So I'm going to start doing some stuff like Goze said, some appearances. Is there really that big of a market for Larry Holmes?
No, but he was still active. Like, I mean, yeah, he had just retired because of Drago, but that was literally at the beginning of the movie. You know, it's like if Michael Jordan
referencing the Rocky of the Creed movies. Okay.
No, this is Rocky 5. So I mean,
yeah, before the Creed movies got there. I mean, once the Creed movies were there, you could see that I think they figured out where they screwed up in Rocky 5, and the Rocky Balboa one is kind of that one just doesn't fit anywhere for some reason for me. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense, I guess, but it would make more sense now than it did when it came out, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because you have Rocky, then they do a video game and he's fighting like KSI or Logan Paul or Jake Paul or some shit. I mean, yeah, going against like the best player on the game. I mean, I could see it being sold that way, but like those are the types of fights, like the what if fights. Yeah, those are the ones they're doing now. You know what I'm saying? Even though Tommy Fury's wasting his fucking time. But I mean, what do you expect from a guy that's
why is Tommy Fury wasting his time? He's making good paydays.
Yeah, but the thing is he's the
influencer fights, he wouldn't be making jack.
Yeah, he's the boxing version of like pretty much KSI, Logan Paul, Jake Paul. He's the one that's from the boxer family that went influencer and had to come back. His ass wasn't never going to be a boxer. I don't care what comes out of his damn mouth. His brother overshadows him in multiple ways. I mean, it's Tyson fucking Fury. But I mean, the thing is yeah. Now, once he beats KSI or KSI beats him, if he beats KSI, then where does he go from there? Because there's nobody left in that realm, and 99% of boxers are going to beat the brakes off of him.
I think
but if he
fight, Jake Paul again, but I think he should stay in that circuit for at least a couple years and milk that. I could have sworn he was undefeated so far before these influencer matches.
Yeah, he was 7-0 or 9-0 or something.
Yeah, so if he's just getting started out, it's too early to tell what he would have been. But yeah, he's not his brother for sure. But I think he's actually done pretty well for himself.
Yeah, I mean the thing is he saw the opportunity, but the thing is for like a Jake Paul, a KSI that want to do it, you know what I'm saying, I guess the quote unquote right way. That's I guess your entry level boxer. You know what I'm saying, for Jake Paul to call out like Canelo and all these other like big name fighters, dude, Canelo would have beat the brakes off of his goofy ass. But if you fight a Tommy Fury, at least you're fighting a boxer. You're not fighting a Tyron Woodley who's 4 years removed from being half-ass in MMA. You fight a over-the-hill fucking wrestler that literally I've never seen Ben Askren throw a punch. I've seen him land on his little goofy ass, but I've never seen him actually throw one. And you're going to call him out. You know what I'm saying? If you look at him, he claims this professional record that's undefeated. When you've got a slam dunk champion, you've got KSI's little brother, you got the fat funky one, you've got, you know what I'm saying, 4 years ago, if he would have fought Diaz would have beat the shit out of him. And now he's like, oh, well, we'll do a rematch in an MMA thing. Are you out of your fucking mind? That sounds like Bradley Martin saying he can beat fucking Mighty Mouse. Shut your ass up. Nate Diaz will choke the shit out of you. And I really, honestly, I hope they at some point sell tickets to like, or at least online views to watch Mighty Mouse choke fucking Bradley Martin unconscious. I'd love to watch a 125-pound. Hey, I want to watch that 125-pound man. Because that's where the Junkie Gathering in, what was it, 2015 ish
with Mighty Mouse.
Yeah,
yeah,
because it was Mighty Mouse and Joanna and Rose and Stitch and all them for the Conor McGregor
and Rothwell.
Yeah, for Conor, but it was the Conor McGregor Aldo fight, right?
No,
Right, Mendez.
Yeah, it was Mendez.
Oh, it's okay. It's because Aldo got hurt or some shit like that. Because that's when they had the damn it. It's the one I told Stitch not to say is the most bloodiest fight. Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, even though it took 5 years off of Rory McDonald's life. That kid he hasn't been. I mean, Robbie's been back to the original Robbie where he was kind of anyway. But Rory went from being an up and comer to, I guess, punch drunk is what you can call it. He just doesn't even talk the right way anymore. That fight took a lot out of that kid.
Definitely slowed down, but he did go to Bellator and he won their welterweight title.
I mean, think of the trauma that comes from a fight like that. Like Ryan, you were in a car accident, right? Essentially, it's like being in a car accident. You know, think of how you wake up the next day feeling. Is it that much? Is it easier just to turn around and start running again and doing it? No, your body just suffered trauma.
The biggest, I mean, those two can't really say the same. I mean, I couldn't walk for 18 months. I'm pretty sure Robbie could see the next day. Well, okay, maybe not the next day. Robbie could see 3 weeks later.
They were jacked up, man.
Yeah, Rory probably, and for me, I don't think Robbie got the worst of that. I think he did as far as the blood, but I think Rory got a massive, massive, massive concussion. CTE level concussion, because he was not right for a long time.
Well, he had the nose issues. His nose would break a lot. He finally got
fixed. Okay. Yeah, because he did bleed a lot after that, didn't he? The couple of fights I saw,
breaking, and then he had to have a real serious reset or plastic surgery. I forget what it was. Finally, he got a little comfortable with it, but by then he had just been in some battles, and even though he was early 30s, he started at a young age fighting high level. So
Mhm.
Sometimes it's the mileage, not the age.
And that's what it's going to be like going forward. You know, you're not going to see these Randy Coutures that are fighting late into their, like, it's not going to happen that way. Kids are starting to take MMA classes, you know, in high school. They're already coming out and they're starting to fight at an early age. So now
Mhm.
late 30s is going to be like big, you know. Oh my God, he's 35, he's still fighting. Like, I think that's what the new norm is going to be like.
Well, as long as they don't do, and I love the kid to death because I know him and his mom and stuff. I still don't agree with his politics, but is what it is on that. But Justin Gaethje, as long as you don't do it the way Justin did, Justin has taken a lot of brutal beatings. You know what I'm saying? He has taken some shots, but it's one of those things. I'm more worried about what he's going to be when he's done with the sport. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
Kinda.
he's taken so many shots to the head from WSOF. He's doing it less in the UFC than when he was fighting in the World Series. But he always would like throw his head down and let you just punch his forehead. It's like, dude, eventually it's gonna come back to bite you. Yeah, you're breaking people's hands, but sweet Lord, dude, you are taking a lot of shots. Um,
Good point.
and that's the thing is just watching Justin from like say when I knew him in the World Series days and he was fighting, you know what I'm saying, Nick Newell, which I've really felt bad for that kid. But when he was fighting back in those days and then to now, his speech is different. Like when he talks, it kind of has a little bit of slur in it, if that makes sense.
There's a lot of
Um,
fighters I think that are kind of, whether it's the speech or even just the way they interpret things is a lot different now.
yeah. But yeah, Nick Newell was the one that I still to this day I don't understand what they were thinking with that kid. I mean, I get it. He's got the condition and half the arm and this that and the other. But that Gaethje fight was that scared me.
It's tough to watch. It was really tough to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, and I was cage side having to watch it. That was bad because I was there with Cody Bollinger.
Mhm.
I think he fought shit. I don't remember who he fought that day, but that was his first fight in the WSOF. And then he fought. I think he fought Tyson. No, that was the second fight because he fought Tyson Nam the first fight. And I didn't realize Tyson Nam's still fucking fighting. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ!
Yeah, he
Like
just
I
lost
was
a
at
close fight about 3 months ago, and he got cut. But he's almost 40, I think.
yeah, because I was watching it on. We were at the bar, and it was like on his fight was on at the bar, and I was like, dude, that looks like Tyson Nam. And somebody's like, that's a dude named Tyson. I was like, sweet Jesus, is that dude still fucking fighting? And then when I looked it up, I was like, good God. But I mean, I guess if you could still do it and you don't end up turning into like, say, I don't want to badmouth the guy because he's got a history of some mental shit. But as long as you don't turn into Diego Sanchez, I'm good with you.
Mhm.
That dude, I still feel bad for him for everything that he had to go through for all that crap. But I mean, like him, Joe Daddy Stevenson, I mean, those guys went through wars for a long time. I mean, granted, they were fighting the Frankie Edgars and the BJ Penns and shit like that. So, I mean, they got beat on. So, but to see like the fighters that I used to work with, or the fighters like when we would go to like the junkie gathering and stuff like that, to see those fighters then versus the fighters now, I don't know how y'all still do that shit. The fighters,
Dude,
a lot of the fighters now look like fucking WWE kids that just can fight.
mhm.
They talk way too damn much.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of, I don't want to say forced into it, but you know, now that everybody looks the same with the Venom kits and they have no personality, so they have to kind of like push something out there for you to remember because every week there's a card. There's somebody new. So the only way for them to stand out is to say ridiculous things and keep their names in the headlines. But going back to what we were just talking about, I think with these fighters, like the scary thing is it seems like they wait until that brutal knockout to say, okay, I think it's time for me to go. And there's been very few fighters that have kind of done it the right way, where you make your money, you save your money, and then you say, you know what, I think now is a good time to go. They don't wait for that trauma to happen to make that decision. And so I think what happens is some of the names that you brought up, like a Diego Sanchez, I think they spent so many years fighting for so little that now that the paychecks are higher, they're just trying to cash in as much because they feel like they have to make up for what happened to them earlier in their career, but they don't realize that, that comes at a cost, and that's your health.
And I mean, you can even look at Cowboy Cerrone. He's probably the best example of literally fighting damn near maybe a monthly, twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month. Just whenever they needed somebody, he would cut it and make it. But like he would always say, is the money that he would make would automatically go into paying for that ranch that he had and paying for, all the bills that he's accumulated with the ranch and all that kind of stuff. It's like, for me, I'm surprised Cowboy can say his fucking name at this point, because that dude went through war after war. Then if he's not, not banned from fighting for 60 days or 90 days, it's like as soon as that time frame's up, he's like, yo, Dana, let's fight. Find me a fight. It's like, dude, Jesus Christ. At some point you gotta look to like the NFL guys and say, hey, after the time you're in the sport, can you still walk? Can you read? Can you see? I mean, but then you've got guys that are like Khabib Nurmagomedov. You know what I'm saying? Did everything he can, wiped out the division. Nobody else can essentially touch him. And then he's like, fuck it, I'm done. He did everything he needed to do and walks out.
He stuck to it too. I thought he might change his mind.
Yeah, because you kind of had like the GSP that tried that, where he like walked out and he was like, yeah, I've done everything I can, I'm done. And then he came back, what was it, a year after or so to fight Johnny Hendricks? GSP.
That was his last fight, was Johnny Hendricks, and then he came back and he fought Michael Bisping and won a title.
Yeah, okay.
He took 3.5 or 4 years in between fights.
Okay, so the Hendricks was the last one, then he came back and fought Bisping afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was reversed. So, damn.
Because remember, he retired as champion of the UFC middleweight division. So it was vacant, and Yoel Romero and Robert Whittaker had to fight.
Damn. Yoel Romero's been fighting for a while then. Holy shit.
He's up there
about 46, 47 himself.
Jesus. Yeah, so I mean, like when I talk to guys that I guess are just now getting into the UFC now and stuff like as far as fans, and they're like, oh, you used to work in that? And I was like, yeah, I used to know a lot of the top end guys, used to work with a lot of the, the agents / what manager, well, they were managers then. What are they now? Still managers, or are they agents now?
Some are agents, some are managers, some are advisors. I don't know. I think most of them, I think we go with manager more than agent.
Okay. Because I mean,
agent,
I didn't know what.
It almost sounds more like you're like you have a roster of about 50 athletes and you're constantly, someone's out of contract or in a contract year. And so you're negotiating publicly, signing bonuses, things like what you hear from in football, basketball, baseball, and maybe hockey. I think managers more like just directing someone's career, taking the calls from the matchmaker.
Okay.
Every once in a while pushing back, but everything's so structured there. I don't know that there's too many opportunities to leverage more money. Sometimes if they need a last minute main event or they really want a title fight, then you have some leverage. But for the most part, you have a manager in MMA and they're trying to manage your career.
Yeah. Because like when I would tell them, like the people that I used to work with, it's like I mean, hell, I didn't even realize. Like, I've been so far disconnected from the sport, I didn't realize Glenn Robinson had passed.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's one that you guys know I worked extremely close with all the Black Zillion stuff. Hell, I didn't even know the Black Zillions didn't exist. Um, so I mean, that's how far disconnected I'd been. But shit, I mean, you're looking at I worked with, like, you know what I'm saying, had a couple of like appearance type things for Rumble Johnson, and he's not here anymore. So I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying, dealing with those, and a lot of the people that I worked with in MMA at that point that were kind of not top echelon guys. They weren't like the bottom end, but they were just kind of like those middle of the road guys. So
Yeah.
hell, some of those, as far as like say the Axis or HD net fights or whatever they were, that were at that level, they're all in, what's that thing? The bare knuckle boxing, bare knuckle fights or whatever the hell it's called. They're all in that shit now. And I'm like, sweet Jesus, y'all weren't good at MMA, but you're gonna hit a motherfucker without gloves on?
Mm-hmm.
Shit, y'all are stupid. But
Some
hey,
of them have even created a pretty good identity over there. Because you brought up Justin Gagey, right?
yeah.
And his World Series of Fighting back then, his nemesis, we'll say, was Luis Palomino. He's
Mhm.
gone over there, and he's like the bare knuckle god over there. I think he's like 8-0 or something like that.
Yeah, but Luis Palomino is a fucking freak. That
Yeah.
dude's ungodly. But the thing is like I said with Rory McDonald and his fight, that took years off of his life. Those two fights against Luis Palomino for Gaethje, yeah, those might have taken a couple years off of at least his career, because those were ungodly wars. So, but see, and it was more fun then because like the whole Stitch thing. Then you could sell shorts, short sponsors. You could sell T-shirt walkouts. You could sell walkout banners. That was the coolest stuff for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I guess you said it best when you were like, they were more individual then. That you could express yourself better that way.
There
Now,
also wasn't as many fighters. You get easily
yeah,
lost in the shuffle now because of the uniforms, because there's so many events and there's so many fighters.
yeah, you didn't have like the, and I still I get yelled at when I call them that, but the UFC house shows, like the, you know what I'm saying, how like WWE does like the house shows and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they used to be like the UFC on Fox or UFC on FS1, those types of shows. You didn't have as many of those as you do now. There are so many. Like, there's a UFC, it feels like now, because like on ESPN Plus, it always asks you, do you want to buy this pay-per-view or this pay-per-view? It seems like there's another UFC pay-per-view every week.
Basically,
Like,
there is. Yeah.
shit.
You
It
Not a
used to,
pay-per-view.
Well, there's a UFC fight every
Yeah,
week. Just
UFC
about.
fight night pretty much every week, but
Then you
pay-per-views
have
about
the
once a month.
Contender Series. You have Ultimate Fighter. It's just nonstop, man. And that's if you're, usually you're not just a UFC fan. You got Bellator, you got PFL to contend with. Every now and again, you get your one championships, and you sprinkle in all this other stuff. Like George mentioned, the celebrity boxing and all that, bare knuckle. Like, dude, if you're a combat sports fan, like, what do you have time for? Like, for us, we're not gonna miss our Manchester United. We don't want to miss our pro football teams. But I'll tell you what, I catch less baseball now. I catch less basketball now. Something has to be sacrificed unless you just want to live, at home constantly with your eyes glued to the TV. The UFC asks a lot of their fans. And if they're going to do that, they got to make cards that make sense, that make, because you're spending 8 hours a day on these pay-per-view days, like just sitting there. That's your entire day goes to that. It's tough, man.
and I mean, and it's, the thing is like for somebody like me that's been disconnected from it, it's almost like the guys that I used to work with and watch left the UFC and are now in PFL or Bellator or bare knuckle fighting. And like the guys in the UFC, there's a lot of guys I don't even fucking know who they are. You know what I'm saying? It's like I remember when Aljamain Sterling was a knockout artist that just didn't make that jump just yet. You know what I'm saying? He was on the verge, but he would get a setback here, get an injury there, and would always miss his opportunity. Now he's a fucking ungodly superstar. Or that was back before Conor McGregor was fucking crazy. Okay, he may have been still a little crazy, but he wasn't like fighting old men at the bar crazy. Or throwing chairs through buses crazy. But it's like Jose Aldo. You know what I'm saying? You had the Brazilian takeover. You know what I'm saying? It was all Brazilian fighters that you saw everywhere. They were knockout artists. And you had Jacare Souza. You had Paul Har. Well, when Paul Harris was taking people's fucking legs home with him. So, you know what I'm saying? You had those types of guys. Now it's back then you didn't have really a heavyweight that could contend with like a Francis Ngannou. You know what I'm saying? The dude's built like a fucking semi truck. I would have loved to have seen, like, say, maybe a Rumble Johnson versus him. That would have been fucking awesome. Somebody's probably leaving on a stretcher.
Oh yeah.
But that would have been the two hardest hitters that you would have thrown together. But I mean, is Daniel Cormier pretty much done now? Is he retired and done and over?
Yeah, he's done. He's about 45 now.
Does Gustafsson still fight?
I don't think he's retired, but he hasn't been fighting much lately. But yeah, I think he might even still be with the UFC.
Damn. Yeah, see, these are fighters that, as y'all know, were the top end guys when I was in there big time, and they're just not there anymore.
Yeah.
Like it felt wrong to me to watch, like, say, BJ Penn and those guys going into the Hall of Fame, and it's like, Jesus Christ, there goes my entire like career. I'm looking at guys like, shit. Like, I was watching Jose Aldo and hanging out with him at Bellators and stuff like that. Now he's in the UFC Hall of Fame, and it's like, yep. Now we're into that NFL phase where it's like you remember the kid getting recruited, then you remember him playing at Georgia or Southern Cal or something like that. NFL career.
NFL
Now,
team?
my NFL team, shit, I don't want to say that. My NFL team's terrible. We're 2-0 right now, but we're fucking terrible. The Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fucking terrible. But like, I guess it's the time of, you know, like watching a guy grow up in the NFL, then retire, and now they're going like a Shannon Sharp or something like that, going into the NFL Hall of Fame. It's like, yeah, I remember that. You know what I'm saying? Him playing in college or first couple years in the NFL, and it's like now that's happening to MMA, even though MMA is like the younger sport, and it's like, yep. Now you know you're getting old when that time rolls around. with the guys
we're like maybe 4 generations through mixed martial arts, right? Like starting off with that Hoist Gracie, Ken Shamrock era, they go away, and now you got your Randy Couture's, Chuck Liddell's, Vitor Belfort's. They kind of get ushered out by the GSPs of the world, right? Now we're in the Kamaru Usman's, Conor McGregor, those guys. Like we're a couple generations in now, and that's the thing, is now we're starting to see a little bit like, okay, what happened to that first generation, right? What does Mark Coleman look like? What does Don Fry look like? They're hurting, man. They're barely walking. Some of them aren't doing too well, and I'm curious to see what the sport's going to be like if we have this conversation, I don't know, 15 years from now. I think our eyes are going to be wide open at like how much trauma these guys are actually undergoing.
Yeah. Because, and I mean, that was always the inkling, because that's around the 2010, 2015 time frame. That 5 years was when the whole CTE thing came up with the NFL and head injuries and all that kind of stuff. And everybody was worried about MMA, but you never really had that study that said that's the type of stuff that would happen to an MMA fighter, because there's, you know what I'm saying, they fight on the ground, there's this, there's that, that, and I remember, I don't know if it was, Sean Shelby, maybe Dana or something like that. That was their talking point. Was like, hey, boxers constantly are getting punched in the head. That's why some of them end up punch drunk and this, that, and the other. But in MMA, you're not really getting hit in the face as much, and this, that, and then it was like, then you had the Rory McDonald fight, and then it's like, okay, you can't really say that anymore because that fight alone showed, yeah, people get fucking jacked up in this damn thing.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see when you get to, like, say, those bigger names, like the Stephan Bonners, the Forrest Griffins, you know what I'm saying? The early, I guess, the new UFC level, from like the tough one level on, how they're reacting to it. Because, I mean,
Mhm.
Forrest Griffin still walks and talks like the goofiest son of a bitch alive, but that's what he did beforehand. I mean, Stephan Bonner's a nutbag. Chael Sonnen will probably be the one that I'd be interested to see because he went through a couple of hell bent fights. And I guess he would be. Would you call him kind of like the Muhammad Ali as far as like shit talking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
one
good
of
comparison.
the first ones because he would talk his way into more shit than he could actually fight his way out.
Yeah, I mean, out of those three, we already, Stephan Bonner passed away, and things weren't too well.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Are you serious? When the fuck did that happen?
I want to say we might be going on a year soon,
Jesus.
right, George? Maybe in the next couple months.
It was during the holidays. I just can't remember if it was 2022 or
It
2021.
was right before Christmas.
This
Damn.
year or this past year.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then Phil Baroni's in a Mexican prison or something for allegedly murdering his girlfriend.
What the fuck? See, I've been that disconnected that I didn't even realize that. Holy shit. Well, I mean, I've been connected enough to know that John Jones can't keep his candy ass out of well, not prison, local jails. But I mean, it's damn. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize. Did they figure out what happened to Stephan Bonner?
It's a heart condition, but before that, he had a really, really bad DUI out here in Vegas, where he was literally just hanging out of the car. His house burned down, and he's just had his kind of incidents where you could tell he wasn't the same Stephan Bonner.
Okay, because I mean, I still haven't heard a definitive reason on what happened to Rumble either.
Mm.
So I mean, that's two that shit. Yeah, I mean, those are two big icons that, I mean, that I don't even know how to respond, like that aren't here. But I mean, then you look at like guys like BJ Penn getting into fights outside of fucking strip clubs for no fucking reason. But yeah, I mean that. But at some point, because I know this has been I guess a contested thing for MMA fans. At some point, when the fuck do you start paying the damn guys or giving them that I guess post career health care thing, like say the NFL, like NFLPA has? Do you only get that if the fan, or not the fans, if the fighters unionize like the NFL players did? Or like, do you do a lawsuit?
That enhances your chances, and the UFC's only brought it up like once or twice. Like that's something they want, a direction they wanted to go, and Dana brought it up. Maybe 3 years ago, I remember him saying they wanted to do that. They were proud of their year-round insurance, health insurance, but he knew that post-fight was a concern. Now, granted, since that time he brought it up 3 years ago, I haven't heard him bring it up since, and I haven't heard anything get enacted in regards to it.
Now, did the UFC and WWE just combined, right? Or merged to Turbo or whatever the fuck that thing's called?
TKO.
I mean, is that what it's called? TKO? Okay.
I like Turbo better though.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was Turbo.
Cooler.
But I mean, now is that goofy slapping thing? Is that involved in the same thing, or is that separate from the UFC?
No, Dana and the Fertitas own it, so it
Okay,
is
so it's
separate from
not a part.
UFC, but
Okay.
UFC people are in it, are involved in it.
Oh, good God. That I swear that's the dumbest thing ever. Why somebody would stand there and let a motherfucker slap the shit out of you. But I mean, it's the same thing as bare knuckle. Why would I let a dude just punch me in the face? I could do that outside the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But at least you have the
Um,
opportunity to defend yourself and hit them first. Like you could literally sign up for a slap fight. If you lose that coin toss, he slaps you and knocks you out. You did nothing. All you did was walk up
yeah,
to the stage to get slapped. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the
yeah.
point in that?
And
What
we
does that
agree,
even say?
it's a dumb sport.
I mean, the thing is I can understand like if you see like the Russian version or the Ukrainian version that was always like all over YouTube and stuff, that made sense. Those people are fucking nuts. They just want to hit people. That makes sense. Why you bring it to the US and then as soon as you debut it, the news comes out that you smacked your wife at the damn nightclub or whatever. It's like, dude, that's a terrible way to start off everything. But I mean, with the WWE combining, so it's just going to be one solid company, or is it still two separate entities, but
Two
it's one
separate
umbrella?
companies. Two
Okay.
separate companies under one umbrella. I doubt there'll be much cohesion, honestly. I think one will promote the other, but it'll be far and few between when we see our fighters go there or their fighters come this way. So it'll just be two separate brands, in my opinion.
I mean, does that does that help as far as like say the fighters post career? I mean, would that help as far as
I
like say
don't
health
know if the
insurance or anything like
WWE
that?
has that. Honestly, I would hope that they do. They've been around longer,
Mm,
and they went through a lot in the '90s with they had steroids and
mm,
mental illness and TBI. So hopefully they have some sort of a retirement
mm.
package. But a lot of them are just independent contractors.
I think it's still like that.
Damn.
I know
So,
they'll do things in the sense like certain wrestlers that have had like addictions to things,
mm,
they even regardless whether they're wrestling or not, they'll pay for their rehab, things like of that nature. But I don't
yeah.
think there's anything on paper that says, "Hey, here's your retirement plan," or any of that type of stuff.
Okay. So it's not like the NFL where it's like, hey, the NFL every year pays into a certain amount of money that former
I don't,
players can tap into.
I
Mhm.
don't think so.
See, that's bullshit. Because I mean, the UFC makes enough money.
Yeah. Well,
You would
here's
think.
the crazy thing too, though. Roddy Piper, he said this. He said honestly, he goes, "Look what I do for a living. Do you really even think I'm gonna reach 65 to cash anything out?" Like, it's
Yeah.
true. I mean, think
I mean,
about what they go through.
yeah. But then, I mean, then you look at guys that like when I was in the sport and you had like the early Conor McGregor when they would interview Conor and it was like you got paid XYZ amount. And then he's like, yeah, but I spent it all. And he's like,
Mhm.
because I always want that feeling of being broke and being just one paycheck away from, you know what I'm saying, being on the street. It's like, dude, you just made like maybe 100, 200, 300,000 just fighting on the lower end of a card. And you just blew through it just for that. That seems fucking stupid. But then you see, okay, well, he buys a share of the liquor company and then sells his share and makes a shit ton. So it's, I mean, at some point, when do you go, or at least when does the UFC take a note from the NFL and go, all right, guys, this is like your rookie symposium. This is how
They
you
used to
manage
do
your
that.
fucking
They
money.
used
This
to
is how you
have.
do this.
They did used to have that. They used to be called the like a fighter summit, and they did it maybe 3 years in a row. And they would bring them in batches. A couple times they did it. I remember Cyborg and Angela Magana, I think, almost got in a fight at one of them. Kobe Bryant was a guest at one of them, and a lot of them paid attention because he brought up how he invested some of his money. So they did it, but they got away from it. I think the UFC just realizes they can make a ton of money without really caring much for its athletes. So that's why they continue to roll the way that they do.
And see, for me, that's what killed me in the sport. It's that type of mentality, plus the same thing like when Stitch left with the whole Reebok thing. That's when for me it was like for the fighters that we dealt with, you can only do so much for them. You know what I'm saying? I can get, say, I don't know, fucking Condom Depot, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I can't make them post that on their social media. You know what I'm saying? Like Dynamic Fastener wanted XYZ, or this company wants, you know what I'm saying, D, E, and F. Well, I can only tell a grown ass man or a grown ass woman, hey, this is what they're asking you to do. If you don't post it, you know what I'm saying, that's you fucking up your money. I can't make you do that. But then you had managers that were really good at it. Like, say, Malky Kawa was really good at it, would like get the guys to like sit them in the office, they'd fill the shit out, and then I think Abe would post it off of their social media when it would need to be done. So the guys would make it, and then one of the other guys would post it. I think what's his name? Ali Abdelaziz. He would do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Ali would be like, hey, Ryan, tell me what day this needs to be posted. I'd send him the dates, send him what needs to be posted. Ali would have it done and have one of his underlings make the post. And it's like, hey, at least they're doing it. But I would have assumed, hey, a grown ass man knows, hey, Monday you've got to post this. Yeah. On Monday, fucking post this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, bro. But once Reebok kicked in, then it was, you know what I'm saying, nothing's left in the cage. So everything's outside the cage. So if you're not the John Jones, if you're not the Anderson Silva or you know what I'm saying, BJ Penns of the world, if your following is small on social media, you're not going to get, you know what I'm saying, the return that these companies wanted that you would have gotten on a Bellator 105 or, you know what I'm saying, or an Axis TV fight. So, I mean, that, and that it just became one of those things. I don't want to be the guy that has to make the post myself, cut and paste, send it to the guy, send the picture to, you know what I'm saying, tell the guy, take 5 pictures, I'll pick one. You know what I'm saying? Basically doing it for them. It's like, dude, this is stupid. You're fucking 30. You're 25. I'm not your mommy. So that's why for me, it was like, it's time to get the fuck out of here. Not to mention all the fighters and all the managers that I helped. The minute I got cancer, not a single fucking one of them called me or sent me a message. Like, you two sent me a message on I think it was Facebook. A couple of the junkie guys, like the junkie fans, sent me messages on Facebook. Justin Gaethje's mom donated money to like the GoFundMe to help pay to get my eye removed. But yeah, nobody else did shit. They didn't call, they didn't check in, they didn't send a text, didn't send a phone call, didn't send shit. They just rolled on to like the next marketing guy and was like, hey, we need sponsorships.
Yeah, our sport is there's a lot of selfish people. A lot of selfish people in our sport.
Yeah, and that just, for me, it was like, as much money as I've put in y'all's pocket, you could have been like, hey, dude, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? What can we do to help? If you need anything, reach out. Just any of that. And then when I got in a car wreck, same shit. Like, I was trying to find like Chris Weidman and some people, because there was a fight night in Charlotte. And I was trying to get them like, what do you call it? Like meet and greets and shit. And somebody was like, hey, yeah, just let us know. And then like the night before was when I got my car wrecked. And then the manager called me as I was in the ER. Well, not in the ER. I was in the ICU. And he's like, "Hey, man, have you heard from such and such strip club or such and such bowling alley?" Like, dude, I'm literally in the ICU with a broken leg and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I could give a shit about Chris fucking Weidman. It was the funniest thing because he's like, "You didn't have to say it that way." I was like, "Fuck your feelings, son of a bitch." I was high on morphine. I didn't remember the entire conversation, but I do remember like those two parts because my mom threw something at me when I was like, "I don't give a fuck about your feelings," and my mom threw her shoe at me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How's her aim? Did she get you pretty good?
Yeah, she hit me square in the forehead. But yeah, so it was like once all that happened, then it like the strip club was like, "Yeah, we don't want to work with those guys. They put off a bad image," and I didn't realize what the hell they were talking about. And then I looked like, I guess, on social media when like the morphine and stuff was like wearing off. Scrolled through like Instagram, and you got these dudes doing stupidest shit in the world, and I'm like, okay, yeah, fuck those motherfuckers.
No.
So, but I mean, one like I told Goze, one of the ones I worked with just won a title with Sean Strickland. If I'd have known the shit that came out of his damn mouth then, I wouldn't have gotten him a fucking dime back then. Because sweet Jesus, that dude. Win title, open mouth, stick foot straight down your throat. What the fuck? And the bad thing is the only other one that I worked with that like I can't stand besides Sean Strickland is Colby Covington. So it's like literally the two that are the extreme opposite of everything that I believe in, like politically or ethically. These two fucking clowns are the ones that do exactly the same. What the fuck? Oh well.
That happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it was Colby Covington, it was back when Colby Covington was, I guess, like an up and comer. Wasn't really a star at that point. He was kind of I don't want to call him a journeyman because he's never really been a journeyman, but it was getting through that type of stuff. Whatever happened to the pretty boy kid? The
Uriah Faber?
No, I know he retired. But it's along the same lines. Oh shit! He came in with like Paige Van Zandt. It was supposed to be like,
Oh, he's talking about Sage Northcutt?
yes, the little kid
He's
did backflips and shit.
He's in one championship right now. He's coming back from a pretty gnarly injury to his face.
Didn't he get like? Did he get fucking smashed or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love what if.
bone. He had bones broken in his face, so he took about a good 3 years off, I think.
Jeez. From one fight.
Cosmo
Like-
Alexander was the one that broke it.
So was it like a Michael Venom Page type, like one shot
It was a
shattered skull?
punch, and it was shattered bones in the face.
Yeah, I don't want to hear nobody tell me that sport ain't fucking dangerous. Shit. You've got a guy that can put a knee through the back of your head, or a guy that can punch you and crush half the side of your face. Yeah, MMA is not violent at all. Jesus Christ. Damn. Now, George, how are you doing? Since I haven't asked you the entire time we've been on here. How's everything going with is it Bell's palsy?
Yeah.
How's that going?
I'm on let me see here. May, June, July, August, September. So 5.5 months. And I guess I am recovering. It's just a slow recovery.
I mean, was there anything that triggered it? Was it just something like because I never knew what it was.
Stress.
I didn't realize.
It's probably the main thing.
Well, when you deal with Goze all the damn time, I can understand that.
He's responsible for sure.
I mean, he'll bring on heart attacks. I mean, the best part about it is like if you get, I guess, dementia and then just forget he's there, then that's less stress.
True.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to forget sometimes.
Yeah, especially with I don't know why he's got a Rebels shirt on. What are you now a Vegas Rebels fan or something?
That's where I went to school.
Did you learn how to color there? Is that what they taught you there?
Nah, man. That'd be like if
I
I
don't.
asked you, what's with all this Byron stuff?
That's where my grandfather's from, is Munich.
Oh.
See what? What? I mean, the only claim to fame that Germany has in UFC is what?
Dennis
Dennis
Seaver.
Seaver. That's about it. about fucking it. But no, you went to UNLV?
Mm-hmm.
Goze, where'd you go? Or George, where'd you go to school?
I didn't go to school.
Hard knocks.
Well, I mean,
school
I
of
went
the
to
streets.
I went to a JC, but I didn't finish a bachelor's degree.
Okay, so it's the same thing I did then. Because I went to UGA, but I didn't finish the bachelor's degree part. In the military, it was like take some classes at Southern Cal, take some classes at Washington State, Washington, because you're bouncing around everywhere. And then when I finally tried to, I guess, transfer everything to UGA, it got you like a 2 credits shy of an associate's, and I was like, sweet. So now I have an associate's for hospital management, and yeah, I don't manage a hospital. So I mean, it was either that or it was like a general studies thing, and I was like, yeah, we don't need a general studies associate's degree because everybody's like, cool, you went to school for 2 years, loser. You didn't really fucking accomplish anything. So yeah, so it's a hospital management, which could have gotten for a certificate there too. I didn't realize it was a certificate program. So okay, so I know you're a 49ers fan. Goze, what are you?
Commanders fan.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
2-0.
Now
baby.
I understand where you get the stress from.
2-0.
Fucking Commanders. Lord Jesus. Okay, baseball.
Dodgers.
I don't follow it as closely, but I never had a problem with neither the Dodgers nor the Angels. I guess I started more as a Dodgers fan early on. And then because we lived in Orange County, I found myself going to a lot of Angel games. It was close. But I've always liked both teams. They don't have this USC, UCLA rivalry where you have to like one and dislike the other. I mean, some people do, but not me.
Well, I mean, the thing is forever they were called the LA Angels, right?
No, they're called the California Angels. Then they
That's
became the
Okay.
Anaheim Angels. Now they're the LA Angels.
Okay, so is it the LA Angels of Anaheim? Is that what they call it? Or is that like a fan way of calling it that?
They may have like on letterhead, maybe something official.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you look at like any apps that tell you the games that are taking place, it'll say LA Angels. LA Angels or LA Dodgers.
Okay. See, I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, Falcons fan. Everything's all in the same city except for MLS. Then it's LAFC with a little bit of Atlanta United sprinkled on top. And it's only because LAFC works with Bayern Munich with red and gold football. So, but I hear
they're nice. Everything else sounds like garbage to me. I mean, I think the Braves had one title, and the Falcons choked the 28-3.
Hey!
Super Bowl.
That never happened.
The Hawks, I think they're in the CBA. So really, there's nothing much going on over there.
The Hawks are in the WNBA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not.
The Braves should have won more than one title. They had Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Steve,
and those guys only won one.
One time.
Yeah, they only won one
this year. They're looking
Houston
pretty good.
Houston and Atlanta have not brought it in terms of parades.
Yeah, you can't do a parade though in Atlanta. As far as like a title parade, there's no real place to do it in Atlanta.
Well, that and you guys don't win anything. So what's there to have a parade over, right?
Hey, shut up. Atlanta's got an MLS title though.
All right.
I know it doesn't matter to anybody. I know. I get it.
If it mattered, then Bayern versus Manchester United would be the opener to the MLS team that your Atlanta team's playing.
No,
right? That
no.
it's just not big. MLS isn't big.
I mean, it's big with
Bigger.
Messi. It's big with Messi,
Yeah, I guess a little,
and
but that's
and
only been what 3 months.
Apple. It's on Apple TV. I still don't understand that stupid shit. I don't get it. You're gonna take a league that's supposedly up and coming, and you're gonna throw them behind a fucking paywall on something that Android people can't even watch on an app. We gotta watch it like it's fucking Pornhub on the damn browser, like the video browser.
You could always switch to an iPhone.
Could always jump off the top of my house too.
You ain't gonna
I
land
could
on the
always.
parade.
I could attempt to fly. I'm not buying an
Yeah.
Apple. I had an Apple. Those things suck.
What is it that you didn't like? The good connection, the great screen, and it not exploding in your hand. What is it that you didn't like
My
about the?
phone's never exploded in my hand.
All right, in
What
your
do you have? A
suitcase
Samsung or
or
what do you have?
I've got a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra 5G.
One of those used to explode in people's hands.
It was the Galaxy Note 7 or Galaxy
Okay.
Note 10.
Well, there
Somebody-
you go.
Yeah, but I didn't have that one. That was in between my
Can you FaceTime
upgrades.
somebody? Can you FaceTime
Right.
somebody?
I got WhatsApp.
Yeah, we can't FaceTime somebody.
Well, FaceTime is an Apple only product. I can Zoom them. I didn't even know that was a thing until 2020. And yeah, that was before 2020, and didn't even know it was a thing. But I can WhatsApp them. I can talk to anybody in the world on WhatsApp. Can you FaceTime anybody in the world on WhatsApp or on FaceTime?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that shit works. I don't have an Apple.
I mean, as long as they have an iPhone.
Oh, so you can't go from like an Apple to an Android.
no?
Oh, well, fuck that. See,
We're too afraid
Everybody-
of getting a virus. Why would we interact with those people?
what virus?
I don't know, whatever virus you guys downloaded today.
The overpriced fucking horse shit that Apple people have. Oh
Samsung,
yeah,
you're on the same side as Windows and all that. And Windows gets viruses.
No, hell no. We are not on Windows. I don't even touch a Windows.
No, I'm
phone.
not
Those
saying you're
things
on
are
Windows.
terrible.
I'm saying you're on that side, like
the
you
good
know,
side.
yeah, no, Apple, you got, your Macintosh or whatever laptops. The other sides are the Windows laptops. You got iPhones over there. You got
But see,
Galaxies, and then you have
But if-
iPad over here. You
if
got a
we were so
Samsung
bad-
tablet.
but if we were so bad, how'd that lightning cable work out for you?
I've never had a problem charging anything.
I know, because now it's going to C-type chargers, just like my phone. Now, granted, y'all have a special like C-type. Like it'll burn. Like my mom's got a Google Pixel 4 or some shit. If I plug in like the new Apple quick charger into that phone, it'll burn that bitch up because it's not made for it. Found that out with the new supercharger that I got for my phone. Yeah, that's some bullshit. But yeah, I don't like Apple fucking anything, because it, like, when I did have an Apple, it was during the time of like where they charged you for fucking everything. Like everything you had, like the only thing that came in the box was the damn phone. Like you had to buy the charger, you had to buy the wall thing, you had to buy this shit and buy this shit. And if you tried to buy the gas station charger, it would fuck your phone up. Yeah, I've been down that Apple route. Nope, never again.
Should never
Hate
buy
it.
anything from a gas station other than gas.
What? You tell me you don't eat gas station sushi? Get the fuck out of here. It's the greatest thing in the world. You know how to get uninvited from a party? Gas station sushi. Because as soon as you eat it, you're sick.
Yeah.
You don't have to go now. So you can be like me and go back home. But I don't know how long I've got you guys. So since we're on an hour and 9, go ahead and get the interview portion off. And I'll do this. We'll do one for each. So you both will have a chance to do it. So the Junkie Radio world, y'all are on what, episode 4,000 at this point, or 3,200 and something?
Getting there.
You've been around.
3,397. We're gonna get 3,400 shows probably in about another week or two.
Sweet Jesus. Okay, and y'all have been around for over what, 10 years?
16 years.
16 and a half years.
Yeah. Okay. So in the 16 years, y'all have went from the original type podcasting type platforms to now YouTubes and all that kind of stuff.
We went from being a podcast to a TV show, a radio show, podcast. Yeah.
So I mean, you've went from basically you were one of the very first MMA centric talking points to now being the pinnacle of MMA talking points. You've had thousands of guests on that time. Some of the best fighters the sport has ever had. And then you have fans that look to both of y'all as the information guys, the guys that start the conversations. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, and the people that I know, it's you two and Ariel Helwani. Y'all are the only three that matter. You know what I'm saying? As far as the impressions. And we'll throw John Morgan in there because he's technically associated, or I don't know if he still is, but was associated with y'all for a long time. So I mean, between you two, fans have seen y'all for 16 years as the MMA aficionados. How does it make you feel to know that almost 3,400 episodes, 16 years later, millions of fans, thousands of interviews, that people still look to y'all as like a motivation to do what y'all do, to be a motivator to talk on the sport that y'all are passionate about? How does it make y'all feel that y'all are kind of like the icon for somebody that wants to talk on YouTube about sports? Either one.
What goes answer first?
I think, I mean, it's a cool feeling because it's something that when we first started doing, a lot of people didn't even know what the hell podcasting was, right? And to now see it kind of blow up the way it has, and now even fighters are joining in on it, right? Like some of them have their own podcasts and all that. It's great to know that we laid a foundation for something like that. It's really, really exciting. And you can't thank people enough for their support over all the years. There's hell, even The Simpsons. At some point, I kind of threw in the towel and said, "Man, this again." But people still show up. They still listen to us, and we try our best to not be boring and to kind of give them a little something different every time. It's difficult to do in this day and age, but we appreciate all the support that we get from everyone, and that's why we try our best to give back when we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll add that it's been cool. We've been told before that we've inspired others to start their own shows, and that's been great. For us, I guess the fact that we impacted, these athletes and the notables that are attached to the sport, especially early on in their career, because as the sport got bigger, obviously there's more outlets that could also help them grow. But I feel like early on in a lot of fighters' careers, we helped bring eyeballs and ears to what these fighters had to say so they could promote themselves and be larger than life. I always tell people we had a chance to meet a lot of the fighters before they became not fake, but basically not themselves. Because when you get fame and power and money, you change, So having the opportunity to talk to a lot of these athletes when they were young, hungry, more authentic, more genuine, that was a nice feeling.
Now, to build off of that, you've probably interviewed the fighters, and they've done like probably memorable moments and motivational moments and stuff like that may inspire the next fighter from your show. Like you may get, like say, a Conor McGregor that's on the show talking, and then it inspires the Paddy Pimblets of the world, and then Paddy Pimblett comes on the show and inspires the next. You know what I'm saying? The next group. How would you, and both of you can answer, when you're going to inspire the next, say, Goze or the next George, that's going to be the next, I guess, generation of MMA fanatic or MMA junkie, if you will. I mean, with you inspiring them, we're going to give you your chance to bridge that gap and go ahead and do that motivational thing. So if anybody's watching this that wants to do what y'all do, y'all can be the motivator for them, like fighters on your show have motivated other fighters from your show.
And I have kind of a terrible answer for this. Sorry, George. But I always tell people don't do it. It's really difficult right now because there are so many options. And so many people are fighting for a person's time. You know, our show is about an hour long, and an hour out of your day is asking a lot. You know, there's so many things in this day and age. All this information is brought to you so quickly, right, to your phone, and you can consume sometimes things two at a time. It's really, really tough, and it's hard to get into the business. So for one, you got to love what you do. That's the first thing. And two, you got to bring something to the table that nobody else can do. And you have to stand out, because if you don't stand out, you're just another person trying to do something that a lot of people are doing on a daily basis. So it's rough, man. Right? I can't imagine. This was tough to start back when we did. I can't imagine what it would be like to try and start something today, but you definitely have to stand out in some way and be happy with the way you stand out.
That's actually good information.
You have to be really, really consistent. Whatever it is that you decide. We decided to be a daily show, and we were a daily show for about, of the 16 years, probably about a good 12, 13 of them. That's why we racked up so many shows. We were averaging about 250 a year. But at the same time, people could count on you because they knew you were daily, and we could churn out a lot of interviews because we could just plug and play. Even if something came up on a Tuesday, okay, we'll put you on Wednesday show. And it just was a machine that kept going. Luckily, we crossed paths with MMA Junkie, and we had an editorial team that could recap our interviews and put a bigger spotlight on the subjects, meaning the fighters, you know, the guests. So to do that, you can start things on your own, but there's just so many of everybody. If you want to be an influencer with a YouTube channel, like Goze says, you have to stand out in some way, and your audience has to count on you with content that they can count on, whether it's daily, weekly, every 2 weeks, whatever. If you're a podcast, same thing, dropping at the same time. Find a format, try to stick to the format. But see if you can align yourself with a website that will recap your interviews. It's content for them, and hopefully they create traffic for you. But all this is really difficult nowadays because there's so many shows. There's so many podcasts, radio shows, YouTube channels, live streams, whatever you want to call it. And there's so many, and all this taking place on so many different social media platforms. I think Goze gave the best advice. Probably don't do it, man. Don't do it, because you may have just missed that window. The athletes aren't as accessible as they used to be because they get pulled in so many directions by all these shows that we mentioned. So it's difficult. You have to really, really be passionate about it. And I think if you're that passionate, then maybe write or create the content, but think about a good 5-year plan at least. Not, can I make it to 100 shows? No, like come up with a 5-year plan. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, and see, to I guess add to that, like from what I've noticed from just just throwing halftime of Bayern Ryan out there. I mean, the original idea was to start it back in 2017, but then like the car wreck happened and all that type of stuff. But it is trying to access the athletes or the talent and that type of stuff. But you also, I try not to get pigeonholed. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because you get guys that see, oh, well, it's Bayern Ryan, so all he talks about is Bayern Munich. Well, I can if I need to, but I kind of don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Because there's people that do that. There's people that do that in Spanish, in French, in Arabic, you know what I'm saying, in English, German. If I can't speak those languages fluently, then you know what I'm saying, you're never going to get that type of an audience. But for me, it's like I've interviewed like you guys and Stitch and stuff like that to expand it out. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all have got fans that'll see you one way that may want to see you, you know what I'm saying, in a way of just, you know what I'm saying, not in an MMA setting, just to be there. Um, the same as with Stitch or with uh, who else? Fiago, who's a football influencer, or Ravana, who's a TYT contributor. You know what I'm saying? You got all these different people. They've got fans, but they see them as the TYT guy. Y'all as the MMA junkie people, and Stitch as the cut man. You don't get to see behind, you know what I'm saying, the curtain very often. Y'all are a little bit different than those guys because you can do that on your show. But for me, it's just getting the access to, like, say, an NFL player, an NBA player, stuff like that, because, like you said, they have their own shows now. So it's harder for somebody like me to get a, I don't know, like a KSI or Logan Paul. They've got their own shit. You know what I'm saying? To get a Sean O'Malley, who I think he has his own show now, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Sean O'Malley can get whoever the hell he wants because he's a fighter in the UFC. It's easier for him to access it. Y'all have been doing it forever, so guys see you and know you. So it's the thing of, for me and people like me that are starting out, it's the access is probably the hardest part about it. And as a, y'all are Man United fans, you've seen, like, say, you've probably seen like a Mark Goldbridge.
Oh yeah,
Um,
United stand.
yeah, but if you look at his videos, 99 times out of 100, he's not bringing on Manchester United legends or
Mhm.
Manchester United players. It's just him talking on the topics. The football terrace with Terry Flores, who's a Man United fan. They do the same thing. Um, or Arsenal Fan TV. You never really see Arsenal people on Arsenal Fan TV. So I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's the thing of, at least for me, I've got friends in all these different areas that I can be like, hey, George Goze, what are y'all doing next week? Y'all want to come on? You know what I'm saying? Then we can just talk BS, whatever. Or like a contact I haven't talked to since 2015. Hey, King Mo, what are you doing?
Mhm.
What's going on? And so, like, I'm still trying to get King Mo on, and you know what I'm saying, Justin Gaethje at some point, maybe. But it's just that whole thing of, as small as my channel is, I'm not going to add value to Justin Gaethje or any of those players. So, I mean, so I would agree. If you're going to do it, definitely have, like George said, have a 5-year plan on what the hell you're going to do. Because even with me, I can put the schedule together, but the same with y'all, or like with Stitch, you know what I'm saying, mess up the time. Or with y'all had something, had to push it. For me, shit, I ain't got nothing to do, we can push it back. You know what I'm saying? But some people, that's not an option. Fuck that, and oh well. So I mean, it's definitely a thing like that. That's, y'all actually had really good advice for for whoever wants to do this, because I mean it's a bitch one to schedule it.
Oh, yeah.
The show part is probably the easiest part.
It's true.
It's the getting everyone there and making sure they're there. Like with Devin, I didn't know he had an interview for a job, which motherfucker ain't got no job. But you know what I'm saying? It's those types of things. Now we'll ask, and you may or may not answer. Who is the most memorable interview that you've had? And each one of you can choose which one is the most memorable interview over the 3,400 shows.
Well, I always appreciated the ones that were harder to hustle down, and most of those came early in our careers. It's no disrespect to the fighters that we talk to nowadays, but like I say, they do so much media that it's just going through the motions with them, and I think we do the same. So going back to the early days, we had great chats with Chuck Zito, Roddy Piper, Mandalay Silva, you know, when they were kind of like at their heyday, I guess. And every time we got a legend on for the first time, it was always pretty special. But I remember those were harder to track down, but when we did, they delivered and it was great. Those three, and sometimes you don't realize it at the time, but then you'll go back and listen to it. Like I remember going back and listening to Rhonda and thinking, man, like she was really, really cool back then. She wasn't like, you know, how she is
like
now, kind
now.
of arrogant. Yeah. And you could tell she was her career was fun to her back then. So, you know, that was pretty cool. I remember we had a great sit down with Yoel Romero, and he explained to us how it works in Cuba in terms of the government treating them almost like animals in a sense. They break you down as a human being. What are your traits physically, and are you fast? Are you coordinated? Are you muscular? What else? Oh, you're a shot putter. You're a swimmer. You're a this. You're a that. And originally, Yoel was, I think they thought he was a good baseball player. I can't remember what it was, but wrestling wasn't even his first thing. And then they realized, wait a minute, we got it wrong. Okay, you're now a wrestler going forward. So he was either a, do you remember those? Was he a soccer player, a baseball player? He was something before he was a wrestler. I know that.
I think they wanted to steer him in the direction of baseball.
Yeah, and see, we would have never known that, but he was unique because he was from a country where that's just kind of the way they roll. There was a time where we had Habib Nurmagomedov before he was a champ, before he was anything, you know, and he would tell kind of interesting stories about where he grew up. And I kept thinking like, okay, something's different here, you know, but I mean, they just basically eat, sleep, and train. Eat, sleep, and train. They rarely talked about their personal lives, their significant others, their families, or anything. That's all pretty much kind of private. I mean, he would answer a question, but there wasn't too much to expand. And so now, years later, when you see Habib, you see him basically eating, training, and, you know, like, well, not sleeping, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't see, they don't reveal too much about themselves. So, you know, there's been a lot of good ones, a lot of in studios that have been a ton of fun. Just hearing different stories. Big John McCarthy. You know what's funny is I've mostly brought up non-fighters, to tell you the truth. Yeah, and a lot of non-fighters have just delivered, man. And then there's been some fighters that have been amazing too.
For me, it's pretty similar. I like Edward James Olmos came into the studio.
That was a good one, yeah.
And that was fun because, you know, you grew up watching him in movies and stuff. And then Roddy Piper, same thing. It's like when you interview fighters every day, you kind of fall into this trance where you tend to, no matter how hard you try, you probably have to end up asking the same questions quite a bit, especially if it's every day, right? Our show's every day. So when you can break that monotony up a little bit with somebody like a Roddy Piper, where you're jumping into another universe, right, which was pro wrestling, and just remembering that I used to sit on the floor, watch the TV, and watch this guy do his thing. It was pretty amazing. So the same thing with Edward James almost as well, and even guys like George mentioned, Habib Nurmagomedov is like the what I could almost appreciate more than anything, Ryan, wasn't so much the interview. It was when the camera stopped rolling, the conversations we would have after the show or even before the show. Those were so valuable. You know, just seeing GSP kind of let his guard down a little bit and just bullshitting with the guy after. Those are the moments that stand out for me.
Yeah, it's the same for me. And the reason why I came up with the halftime like concept was, if you've seen, like, say, being United fans, you've seen the Cristiano Ronaldo interviews, or the shit, who's the little redheaded clown? The Beckham, who's Paul Scholes, the little ginger guy.
You talking about Rooney?
No, not the fat drunk one. Paul Scholes is a ginger, ain't he?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
From the class of '92. So I mean, you see the older interviews. They actually, when you look at like those Beckhams and even a Rooney way back when they would interview him, it wasn't the same question and a robotic answer. If you look at, like, say, a Cristiano Ronaldo now, when ESPN or somebody like that asks them a question, it's always the same questions. It's always a robotic answer. But now with the rise of social media and different people asking questions, you still get the same robotic question asked in a more, I guess, entertaining way, if that makes sense. But you still get like the post game. So how do you think you played? I played good. How does it feel to win? Oh, it's good. You know what I'm saying? The same shit Joe Rogan says in the cage after every fight. You know what I'm saying? He asked a generic robotic question, unless he's talking to a Conor McGregor or Paddy Pimblett or somebody like that has the balls to step out of that robotic mentality. You're essentially going to get the same answer every time. And watching the NFL and the NBA, NHL, MLB, Champions League, World Cup, MMA, whatever, there's always that thing of, do they know how to interact with fans? Can they give a non-robotic answer to help the fans? You know what I'm saying? To like, when I was going through the cancer and all that type of stuff, looking for that motivation and inspiration from like a Franck Ribery or a Bayern player, or just, you know what I'm saying, some athlete at any point, there really wasn't that much content there. So for me, it was the thing of bridge that gap that I couldn't find when I needed it. So when you talk to that athlete or that influencer or people like you that are icons, to be that, hey, if you want to know what it, you know what I'm saying, how it is when you talk to Jermaine Jones and how being a fan of him makes him feel. You know what I'm saying? Being that Cristiano Ronaldo, how would it make him feel when hundreds of millions of people look up to him to get through dark days? You know what I'm saying? Nobody's ever asked him a question like that.
Yeah,
and I want to know how it makes him feel. And then the flip side of it is, hey, what do you tell those people that are going through those dark moments, that are looking to you as that lifeboat to keep them from doing something bad? You know what I'm saying? Because there's always that outreaching for help. You know what I'm saying? Some people either can ask for it. Some people may do like I did and search YouTube for it. But that's the type of content that I always had wanted to do. And in person, it's easy to roll with. And like you said, it's the stuff that they say when they're not on the camera and when the camera's rolling, that I wish those were the times when it was rolling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because what they say then, it's like, then when you try to explain it, it's like, yeah, I can explain it, and it's still a really cool message, but it's like in that moment, in that time, looking them in the eye and seeing it, it's like, dude, I wish I'd have gotten that. But I've gotten guys from Wrexham and Spencer from #United and all these other people, and people are getting all kinds of benefits from it. So it's like, okay, obviously what I'm doing was something that makes sense, but it's the whole thing of trying to get there to get that content. Europe's a little far away from South Carolina, just a tad. We don't have world-class athletes in fucking Clover. I mean, yes, I'm here, but there's no other world-class level athlete. Yeah, I said it. I'm a world-class athlete in my mind. But yeah, so I mean that's why this was created. And yes, I've used y'all as the example of, like, when I was explaining to people the idea, I was like, yeah, it's like George and Goze just kind of like sit there and bullshit with the fighter for a little while. It's not a technically like a sit down like HBO type interview, if that makes sense. Y'all are just more like sitting and I showed a couple people like highlights from y'all show where you're just sitting at the desk and just talking. And it's like, that's the thing. So that's how we get to where we're at now. Just three people just hanging out and bullshitting.
There's a time and place for everything. Sometimes you have a more buttoned up interview that you got to do. Sometimes you have more time to relax and dive into the person. You have to remember, like, nowadays, what'll happen is you may have a great question, but the fighters, a lot of times, they get booked in blocks of like 2 hours, 15 minutes each outlet. You might have been the 10th guy to ask that same question to that fighter. Are they going to respond the same way they did to the first guy? Probably not, right? So you have to figure out, how do I dig into this guy and get something else out of them? And there's different time and places, different ways to conduct the interview, but George and I have gotten a lot of success out of just trying to be normal with them and then trying to get in and get the things we need.
Yeah, that's why I despise like those media scrums. I can't stand those. Because like when you have like 9 microphones piled in front of a fighter, UFC uses it a lot. You have like 5 or 6 guys in front of them, or the NFL during Super Bowl. I don't like those, and that's what like a few of the MLS teams went to. I can't do those because I don't want, like, say for George or Goze to be standing there and asking a badass question and getting an amazing answer. I don't want to post that on my social media because now I'm taking away, you know what I'm saying, your views, your return on investment for everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that shit. Or if I ask a badass question and get an awesome answer, I want that to be on my content, not, oh, well, now the Charlotte Observer's using it and this outlet or that outlet uses it. And it's like, well, now it's watered down pretty much the reasoning that I did it. You know what I'm saying? It's more of that thing of give the views to the person that's, or response or whatever, accolades, whatever, to the person that asked the question instead of doing it that way where fucking everybody rips off everybody else's shit. Like the cool little kids at the Super Bowl. They ask the cool questions. Stop posting their shit. Let the little kid post it. Fuck you, ESPN. Let that little kid ask his questions. So, well, we're at 1 hour and 39 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm pretty sure y'all are exhausted at this point since you had a show before this show. So I guess if y'all want to keep talking, we can, or I can let y'all go. I'll let y'all choose.
Well, we do have another interview. We do have another interview that's coming up shortly. So,
Okay.
And I have a neighbor that needs to talk to me, and that's why I apologize to the audience. My dog started barking because the doorbell rang, but
Oh, that's fine.
he just kind of came up to the window, and I think he noticed I was busy. But I don't know what's going on, but I got to tend to it real quick before we get to
Kind of creepy.
the 12 o'clock
George,
interview. Well, I don't
George
know.
has
I
a
mean,
creepy,
I don't know.
creepy neighbor.
No. Every once in a while, he'll borrow a tool or whatever. But
Yeah, but you can't just give him Goze. Oh yeah. Okay, I had to add that zinger in there. Okay, before we
But
hop off here,
thank you though
final
for
score.
being here.
Final score for Wednesday. I'll go with. Well, I'll just say 3-1. George, who you got?
1-1.
3-1.
I'll keep it
3-1
real.
Bayern.
1-1.
Okay. Goze.
Man, those are two really good scores. 1-1 is probably something we're hoping for.
Okay, but in reality, which one are you gonna get?
2-1.
Bayern.
No, what am I, stupid?
Shit. All right, so it's 1-1 for George, 2-1 for Goze, and I'm the only one that thinks Bayern can win 3-1. All right, so everybody, when you watch this later on, and they're wrong, and it's like a 10-0 win, make sure you remind them that they chose 1-1 and 2-1. There we go. 2-1 is this guy. But guys, thanks for coming on. Hopefully we can get you on maybe before the second leg at Old Trafford. We can recap everything that's happened. I'll try to pay attention to some more MMA so at least I could be up to date on what's going on. We can at least talk about that. So, well, guys, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was nice chatting with you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. These are the guys from MMA Junkie Radio podcast. And what's the spinning back fist click?
Spinning back click every Monday.
Spinning back click.
Yeah, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific is the usual start time. We've been kind of going early these past few weeks, but it'll be right to its normal start time in a few weeks. It's live and interactive, so check it out.
Well, make sure you follow those guys' individual social medias and their shows that they're associated with. And I assume y'all will post, like you did today, the link to the show and like Instagram and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. And then just follow it from there. So, guys, thanks for coming out. Everybody, make sure you have a good day. And Bayern's going to win on Wednesday. So, all right.
We'll see you, Ryan. Thank you.